Greetings from Costa Rica. Today I'm joined by Glen, who took a major leap of faith, purchasing a container home here in Costa Rica, sight unseen, without ever having even been to Costa Rica. Today we're going to talk to Glen about his radical lifestyle change and how he's enjoying living here close to Playa Negra, Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Stay tuned. Greetings from Costa Rica. My name is Matt Rosensteel, and today I'm joined by Glen Stokes. Glen did something a lot of people fantasize about. They write emails, maybe they explore the possibility. He took a huge leap of faith, moving to Costa Rica, buying a property, a container home behind us, without having ever been to the country. Glen has now lived here for a couple months, and we're getting him to sit down to talk about his radical lifestyle change. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you, Matt. Loving being here. It's great. Thank you.
And he's somebody who now is here in Costa Rica, lives about 10 minutes outside of Playa Negra, Guanacaste, on the western coast. Today we're going to talk to him about his lifestyle, about what it's been like adapting to Costa Rica. He's lived all over the world, so we're going to ask him to compare a little bit Costa Rica to other places he's been. And in general, we want to find out what he's found to be the pros and cons of living here. So without further ado, Glen, I'll let you take over. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Last year, you were looking to just totally change things up, and you sent me an email late in the pandemic.
Yeah. I couldn't be happier than being here right now, Matt. And it's been a great little journey. As you say, I've lived all over the world. I'm originally South African, then England and France. Had a house in France for 8 years. Lived in Germany. Lived in Australia for 3 years. And yeah, last year I was locked down. I was locked down in South Africa first of all for nearly a year. Then I went to London and got locked down there. And I was looking for. I'm a surfer. I've been surfing all my life, and I was looking at Indonesia as a place to just get a place of my own somewhere near the surf, and I was looking at Costa Rica, and I was looking on the internet, and I saw this container picture with surrounded by the jungle and the trees, and it was just, I want to buy that. That's what I want to do. It was close to Negra, as you say, which is a great surf spot. There's Playa Avianos just a little bit further away, which is got a great vibe and great people. And so I did a bunch of Google research. You know, one of the key things I would say to anyone coming to Costa Rica is find the right estate agent. There is hardly anything more important than that.
Thank you. Unsolicited comments. Glen had to convince me that he wanted to buy the container property.
Yeah.
I remember you saying, "No, you know, Matt, I've lived all over the world. I know I want to do this."
Right.
And I was fairly incredulous at the beginning of our contact that you actually wanted to take the plunge.
Yeah.
And I normally am so focused on, well, come and see the area. Glen was ready to do it and just have the place here.
Yeah.
What had called you specifically to Costa Rica, maybe versus Indonesia?
So there were a couple of things. So, well, obviously I'm a surfer, so Indonesia's surf is obviously seriously good, and Costa Rica is fantastic. But coming from South Africa, there was and having lived in Australia as well, there's just an easier cultural fit coming into Costa Rica. Indo's great, but it's a radically different culture, language. I mean, the handwriting is completely foreign to me.
Yep.
So that appealed first of all. I looked at it and I thought, well, I don't speak Spanish, but during lockdown I was on to my Spanish lessons, getting that going, and and the country actually makes it easy for foreigners. Actually, it's not a difficult buying process. It's Indonesia. You can't physically own the property. You're not allowed. No foreigners are allowed to actually own property.
Okay.
Whereas here, you end up with a proper legal contract. It works. It's not foreign.
Yeah, frequently we talk about Costa Rica's government is very friendly and has taken a pro-foreign investment strategy as a way to boost their economy.
Yeah.
For decades and decades, it's nothing new. And property ownership rights are one piece of the puzzle. Their open national registry where you can actually see what's going on and who owns what. Very much they're trying to bring people like you here and make it easy for you to invest.
Yeah, the South African background in me also helps because Africa is Africa and there's time delays, inefficiencies. It's a difficult old continent to live on. So when people said, you got to be careful, that's Costa Rica, things don't work quite the way they do in London, I was like, well, I can be flexible.
Tell us about your first, I think it's been about 2 months so far since you came down.
Yeah. So I arrived. So the buying process I want to talk about as well. So we'll come back to that in a second. Maybe if you want to. The arrival here was a was a culture shock and a weather shock. It's hot.
Especially in...
I mean, end of March I arrived.
End of March, peak of the dry season.
Man, it's... Costa Rica's either hot and wet or hot and dry, but it's hot. And Durban was hot as well, but this is something different. And I just arrived off a plane in San Jose with a few bags. I booked into the first hotel I could find next to the airport. They had a Walmart, so I bought a bicycle. Then I rented a guy with a van, loaded up a bicycle, some tins of food, some cleaning equipment, and he drove me 4 hours or whatever it was from San Jose and dropped me here in the heat.
With your bicycle, the food.
And
oh my gosh.
And then the water didn't work. So
we had an issue with the water.
There was no water, so Matt was busy. The keys were here, and
this was a perfect circumstance where we had a promise on Monday. The water will be installed. A promise on Tuesday. When Glenn arrives and
no water. 40 degrees Celsius. No water. But you just go in Costa Rica and the developer. This is there's a development at the back here.
Pura Jungla.
It's a gorgeous ecological set of jungle, 100 hectares or something. And Ray, who owns it, came to say hello. And he pulled up in his truck with his dog and said, "Hi, welcome to Pura Jungla." And I said, "It's great, but there ain't no water." And he went back home, grabbed a spanner and some piping, and I'm pretty handy with the tools as well. So we climbed in, reconnected a water supply, opened the door, and discovered a huge leak. So so we fixed the leak, and in a couple of hours I had water, and so it began. And we started from day one. Fix, adapt, find out what needs doing.
Thank you very much, Ray. Appreciate it.
And it's stuff like that. You need an estate agent who's prepared to help you, but on the flip side, you have to be friendly, flexible, adaptable, ready to just work and adjust as you need to go. If you come in here with I'm going to just do it exactly the way I used to do it back home and get what I think you're going to run into problems in Costa Rica. You really got to enjoy, settle in, and work with the people, and then things start to work out really well. You
mentioned that you've been surfing at a couple different places. How has it been building relationships with new people, foreigners and locals?
Yeah, there's such a gorgeous. It's not just in the water surfing. There's a lifestyle around the beach that happens in this part of Costa Rica. You've got, I mean, the sunset culture. Everybody just sitting, chatting to people you've never met before. Playa Avianas has got a surf school and some great guys there that I've met, and they don't speak a whole bunch of English, but you climb in and try a bit, and now they're just great friends of mine. Plus, you've got the expats who come down from America like once a month, stuff like that. They just become so much part of your life, and you share stories.
Yep.
It's really it's great. It's like a family for me. I don't even have a car. I've got the bicycle. I welded up some surf racks. I put my board on the bike. I cycle 15 minutes to the beach. When I first did it the first day in the hot sun, I was like, "You crazy? This is not possible." Now, within a month you're acclimatized. You get used to the heat.
Yep.
And you do. There's internet access. I've got really decent Wi-Fi here in the jungle, so I can get online, trade if I need to. I've got other guys at the beach that I've met now who run entrepreneurial online businesses. They sit at the beach, they sit in the cafe there, work, and then jump in the surf in between. It's a pleasant lifestyle.
Yeah, you get to fill those gaps in your day so much better.
It's great.
Even if you're working here, definitely. Let's touch on the buying process. You weren't here in Costa Rica.
No.
And so we handled everything via a couple videos, remote contact with your lawyer, escrow agent, etc.
Yeah.
How did things go?
You know, they couldn't have gone smoother, to be honest. The buying process. A lot of people have asked me actually since I've got here. Oh, what about the buying process? How does it work? And you know, you took time to firstly explain it to me, and I could see you meet an estate agent, you can see, okay, there's a professionalism, they've done this before, the emails come back prepared with clear steps of what you're going to go through, and then when you actually go through the steps, it is the way you were told it was going to be. You're not hitting massive unknown surprises. You've got to expect delays, and we had some of those. Yep. So the basic buying process, and it's also, I mean, this was the last little bit of my life money that I was investing into this Costa Rican property. So it was scary. I was sitting in London. I knew this was exactly what I'd wanted to do, but I was going to put as a huge piece of a deposit and then half my life savings down into a country I'd never been to, a bank system this is Central America. It's got a reputation for money laundering and problems, and I'd never met you, so you do your due diligence online, you know, and you have to, you know, I looked at your video record, and after a while, you know, scammers haven't built up this depth of reputation. And so I spent time looking at that, saying, okay, how long does this history of property market go back for? What was he doing before? And I did, you know, you had the legal contacts, you had the escrow contacts, and I did the same with them. I looked at the background of that legal person and that escrow company.
Yep.
To say, okay, is this a fly-by-nighter? Does their phone number go somewhere?
Perfect.
You got to do this. And then I remember sending you nervous emails saying, oh, I'm not so sure about this. Why is there a delay with that? And that sort of thing. Then the communication back from you was immediate, clear, consistent, and that it really helps ease you through the process. The escrow means your money's sitting somewhere secure. You're not just giving your money to the seller to hold, so that really worked well.
Yep.
And then I found, after I got here, the legal company that did the transfer, they were helpful afterwards. So they helped me set up a bank account, for example. That's another issue to try and get sorted. And literally, I mean, I had to pay them to give me a letter, but with that letter, I went to the bank and I got a bank account in a day. Done.
Uh-huh.
These kind of team with services and quality around them, just it really, it's made settling in a whole lot better. Getting
Yep.
the water, the electricity connected. You
Yep.
helped so much with that, and it's different to other countries. And I was all stressy about that, but actually, it's fantastic.
My email address is matt@lat10realty.com. And another video, a piece of advice, on banking. Go to your lawyer. Don't hesitate to pay them for that letter and for that little bit of guidance as to exactly what you need to go to your appointment fully equipped with the documents, because the biggest source of frustration for people here with banking will be you get to the front of the line on a day you've waited 3 hours and you don't even accomplish what you went to the bank to do, and you feel utterly destroyed by that. So just do check in with your lawyer.
Yeah.
What about your container here? Tell us about your slice of paradise. What did you acquire? You know, how have you been enjoying your new project, and what are the pros and cons of doing this?
The pros are I'm sitting watching a bird that I absolutely think is gorgeous on a tree that I planted in a place that I pictured right from the start. So I've got
It's a turquoise-browed mot-mot.
there we go. Matt's the expert.
One of the many neotropical birds that make this a spectacular place. With
and an orchid tree. So I've got a quarter of an acre, just under 1,000 square meters is what I bought in a long strip leading down to a jungle road, just outside a tiny little town called Paraíso, which has got a supermarket and a hardware store and 2 local restaurants.
Yep.
And that's pretty much what's there. All dirt roads. They rattle your car and your bicycle to pieces, but I just love it. So I got 1,000 square meters, and on it was a 40-foot container, which somebody put here, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and it's been standing for several years now. So I could see, and Matt did the video, I could see there was rust, it'd been sitting. I knew I was getting the bare bones of a container, and I was going to have to work on it, but that was fine. I built houses in South Africa. I'm happy to get a welding machine and do what I need to do.
And in defense of Paraíso, let's go back and mention that yes, there is a hardware store. Also, you're on dirt roads, though 6 or 7 minutes on your bike from a paved highway.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have a car and you live in this location, you're about that 2-minute drive down to the pavement, and then you can get to Tamarindo.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If you're living a different lifestyle, that paved highway is different. Yeah. But yeah, for your functionality going north to Negra and Avellanas to surf, it's all dirt.
It's all dirt, but that suits me fine. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I cycled into Santa Cruz is not far at all by car, and there you've got everything you need. It's all paved roads.
You've cycled into Santa Cruz?
Santa Cruz and Tamarindo, 25, 30 Ks each way.
Wow. That's further than cumulatively I've cycled in the last 10 years of my life, or actually probably 20 years. But yeah, so he's very much adapting to a low footprint lifestyle, low cost. Really impressive. What sorts of skills have you needed so far in remodeling your container and getting it up and running?
So the one of the best things around that I ended up, I hadn't actually planned it here, but there's a hardware store cycling distance away, and it's a good size. Matt said, "Oh, you're gonna love our hardware store," and I was like, "I'm not so sure. Probably a room. This has got stuff I need." So proper roofing, sheeting, buying square tube steel. I started with buying a welding machine. So it's a container, so it's steel. So you need to know how to cut steel, angle grind, and weld.
Yep.
And I haven't welded since I was 15 years old. So it was bad welding to start with. But, I built myself a table. I thought, okay, I'll start with that and build that. I built the surf racks, and then I thought, okay, so now I need to start on the walls. So what I've done with a container is keep the core of the container as the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom.
Yep.
And then the container had a sliding steel door. So being a foreigner, I need to leave the country every 3 months. And I can literally slide that door closed. It's got a marine grade security lock on it.
Yep.
And I can just lock up and go. And then what I'm doing is I've started extending the outside, and I'll do an enclosed porch with shade cloth screens on it to keep
Yep.
the bugs out and keep it cool. But then I've got a dining and a living area in a covered porch. And the wood here is gorgeous. The Guanacaste and the teak wood I'm going to use on the floors and the walls is going to be just so gorgeous.
Wow, yeah. So you'll end up with something very, jungle posh.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And then I'll do where we're sitting now. We need to do that video.
Yeah.
This will be a teak deck
Yep.
out over the jungle. And it's just gorgeous. And then
Yep.
the roof to cover the whole lot, because when
Yeah,
the rain
absolutely.
comes, the rain comes. But
Well, it's an absolute, it's a definite reason to subscribe to my channel so that you can be updated when we've got Glenn sitting in front of his absolutely brand new teak deck. It's only one click, and it makes me feel incrementally more self-important. Can we ask about how much, do you have sort of a budget for going from where you started with an old rusty container to your total vision, or is that not even in the cards yet?
I don't think it's gonna be under $20,000.
Yep.
And then I'm physically doing it myself. I call it mi palazzo, my palace.
Yeah.
And I've kept a record already of literally everything I've spent in the hardware store on materials and tools, and I've bought all that here, and that's been a couple of $1,000s so far.
Yep.
With all the roof sheeting, all the steel, all the tools and that I've bought. So I don't know, if I get to 15,000, that'll be a lot.
Yep.
I found a local wood supplier. They have these local places. You just talk to people and they'll say, oh, there's a guy down there who sells wood, and you walk in and there's just this gigantic store of native Costa Rican teak.
Yep.
It's heavy. It's really
Like an enormous amount of Guanacaste, after cattle ranching had sort of lost its popularity, and after a lot of small-scale agriculture was dying in the 80s, especially given the government programs incentivizing reforestation, people started to replant and put up teak plantations, melina, pachote, other hardwoods here, and you still see a ton of Guanacaste and other stuff that, here in the tropics, wood grows so quickly. They're producing a ton of it, and it's a material that you can find readily available.
lovely.
Yeah.
So that's to me. You don't have to try and buy. I don't know, if you're living in Florida in a fancy water, you don't have to buy that here. You can, but you've also got the option to build a dream here. And there's people and construction companies and architects that can help you make it happen. It really is. I'm very excited.
You do have freedom to sort of take control of your future and do what you want. So it sounds like so far you don't have any regrets. Do you have advice, final sort of, make sure you do this, other points you want to touch on for people who might be watching and navigating these initial steps of considering Costa Rica?
I don't know about advice, but I would say come and see. Come on down, get yourself rent a little place, meet Matt, have a look at the place, get a feel for it. It's very, very doable.
Someone who moved here sight unseen and absolutely loves it. is suggesting that you come and visit to get a feel for it, because yes, this is a beautiful area where you get an opportunity to be surrounded by jungle and sort of build your own dream. Really appreciate you joining us, joining me. We'll have Glen again, so be sure to subscribe. I'll put the icon right there. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more and have a good day.